The USFL, quite frankly, literally just started. It's about to hit the 2-week point, and it's already failed. Whoa, hold on, hear me out. I'm not just a guy who says stuff. Everything I say, I try to have facts and evidence to back it up. It's not quite as simple as that's my opinion. I'm gonna offer you some cold hard facts. I'm a pretty positive guy. I try to give everything the benefit of the doubt, and I'm more of my glass is half full rather than half empty. I try to see the best in things and be optimistic. However, at the same time, I don't want to lose touch on reality. Sometimes, unfortunately, as much as we don't want to hear the truth, that's what we need to hear, and it does hurt. The USFL sounded like a great deal at first. What do Americans love? Football. What do we not have in the spring? Football. The supply and demand, it seems to be there for a spring football league. Despite that need, the USFL has somehow, someway found a way to already be a disaster. We've got a lot to talk about, and we're going to dive deep into detail. But first, real quick, we're on the road to 200K, so if you want to help out the channel, help us reach our goals of hitting 200,000 subscribers, I'd appreciate it. If you do hit that subscribe button, it's free. You can always unsubscribe later. And without further ado, let's get into it. Before we really dive into things, I want to make this clear. I am not talking about the whole instance where a player got cut for wanting chicken. No. He actually wanted pizza instead of chicken salad. Don't worry, that's not what I'm talking about. If you didn't hear about it, I'll inform you a little bit. It's not really complicated. So to make a long story short, one of the players on a team, instead of ordering chicken salad, he wanted pizza, and the coaches said he was being disrespectful and he cut him. Should a player be cut for that? Absolutely not. I think it was ridiculous. Maybe there was more to it than we know, but it is what it is. It happened. We can't change it. If you did happen to watch some of the USFL games, you more than likely saw the same thing I did. There's nobody there. I'd be straight up lying to you if I said I was shocked by the attendance. It's a new league. It's their first time doing it. Nobody should be shocked that the attendance was minimal. Here's where things start to get really, and I mean really interesting. If you do decide randomly you want to go to Birmingham, Alabama and watch one of these games, the tickets are only $10. $10 for a football ticket in 2022? It doesn't get much cheaper than that. If you go to your local high school football game, it's $10. So when you hear that, you're like, okay, they're not really prioritizing making revenue off ticket sales. To go along with that, who goes to football games? Mostly dads, and you're going to take your kid with you. Well, kids, if you're under 15, you get in free. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say for every 3 people, one of them's a kid. Or not a kid, but technically under 15. I know what you're sitting there thinking, yo Matt, what does that matter to anything? The farther we get in this video, you're going to understand exactly what I'm talking about. Right there, number one, we can all agree they're not making money from ticket sales. Oh yeah, I do want to address this. I've seen so many people saying, oh, there was bad weather in Alabama during the first week, and it was also Easter weekend. Here's my counter argument to that, and I'm going to leave you with this. If Alabama and Georgia was playing on the exact same day in the exact same stadium, it would have been sold out. Like, come on now, are we really about to try to use the, oh, it was a holiday excuse and the bad weather excuse? We've seen it time after time. If you're a football fan, you're going to show up no matter the occasion. I wanted to debunk that theory real quick. The other 2 pro football leagues that have attempted to do the spring football is the XFL and the AAF. I'd say roughly 85, maybe 90% of the people watching this have no idea how successful they were. The reason for that is very simple. They weren't too successful. That's why they're no longer existing. Why did those other 2 leagues fail? We can make up 1,000 excuses. The bottom line is nobody was watching it, or not nobody, but enough people weren't watching it to fund it. So theoretically, for the USFL to succeed, one thing's got to happen. Viewership's got to be up from the previous 2 leagues, right? It doesn't matter if it's a spring football league, a new basketball league, or any business out there, you got to have people who want your product. You got to have customers and new customers coming in. The debut game for the USFL, which is going to be the most anticipated and most watched game, had roughly 2.95 million viewers. 1.52 of them were on NBC, and the other 1.43 million was on Fox. Keep in mind, all the other games didn't even come close to competing with that 2.95 million. Well, here's the concerning part about that. Let's compare those numbers to the other 2 leagues' debuts. The XFL, which kicked off in 2020, their first game, they had 3.3 million viewers. I'm going to remind you, the XFL, they failed. That league failed, and they had over 400,000 more viewers than this new league. For those of you saying, oh Matt, that may be a coincidence, let me offer you this. The other league, the AAF, which didn't have nearly as much hype around it, had 2.9 million viewers, so almost the same as the USFL. Once again, these numbers are coming on their debut starts. It's not rocket scientist, everybody knows, or you should know this, your viewership over time is going to decrease. For example, your viewership on week 2 and week 3 is going to be much lower than week 1. Why is that the case? Because in week 1, everybody's curious. You see it on your TV screen and you're like, hey, I want to check out this new show or this new game. The XFL went from 3.3 million the first week to 2.1 the second week to 1.6 in the third week and 1.375 in the fourth week. And then finally, in week 5, the ratings got below 1 million viewers. Remember, the XFL had more viewers on the first week than the USFL. What is that phrase people like to use? I think it goes something like, history, it tends to repeat itself. This isn't an opinion from me, I've showed you the evidence. Going off of the numbers, not only comparing it to one league, but 2 leagues, it's going to fail. The XFL had 400,000 more viewers on week 1 than the USFL. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think this league's been more hyped up than the other 2. I did happen to tune in on the first week. I didn't watch every single game, and I didn't watch all the games, but I tuned into most of them. Whoa, hold on. I know there's going to be probably 20 or 30 people in the comments saying, man, you don't know what you're talking about. The USFL, it's awesome. I watched every single game. Yes, I understand that. There's going to be a lot of diehard football fans that do watch every single game, and there's nothing wrong with that. For those of you that feel that way, I want you to understand this. Most football fans, they're not like you. They're casual viewers. The harsh truth and the harsh reality is, if you're only a casual football fan, you're not going to watch these games. I got to be 100% honest. I struggled to watch an entire game. I'm not even a casual fan. I was really intrigued by it, but there's no emotional touch to any of these teams. That leads me into my next point perfectly, with the emotional attachment. Why does college football succeed? Because all of these universities, they have people that have emotional attachments to the programs. You had millions of people either go to your college or you're just really in love with your players and the teams. Same thing can be said for the NFL, and the NFL has a much larger fan base than college. If you're a fan of college football or the NFL, you can all relate to this. You love your team. You would die for them. Okay, let me stop. You might not literally die for them, but you get what I'm trying to say. I'm not even joking. I think for college football teams, if their star quarterback, he needed a finger or needed an arm, somebody out there would cut off their arm just so their quarterback could have one. Football fans are crazy, and you can't change my mind. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the biggest missing piece to all these spring football leagues. Nobody is really attached to a certain team. Yeah, you got the Michigan Panthers or the Birmingham Stallions, the Pittsburgh, the Maulers, something like that, and the list goes on and on. But nobody from these cities really cares about them. I get it, I really do. It's a first-year league, and it's going to take time to build that chemistry, and it's going to take time to build that relationships with teams. But by the time you even start to like them a little bit and care, the league's gonna be gone. Let me give you a good example, and maybe this will help put it in a different perspective. I'm gonna use college football because that's the sport I like the most. Let's say you grow up in Michigan and your family, they're Michigan fans. As you're growing up from the ages 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you're not a die-hard fan like your parents, but you always see them wearing the gear and always watching the games on Saturdays. Over time, as you slowly and gradually develop, you realize that football, or college football, it's everything. It's not just as simple as you're rooting for a team on Saturdays, it's a way of life. Your parents buy you Michigan clothes, you got Michigan stuff in your house, you get what I'm trying to say. To go along with that, when you go to high school, you're going to meet all of these Ohio State fans, and it's a big rival game, and it means more to you. By the time you're in middle school or high school, you now start to catch yourself watching all the games, and you just start to build that tradition. Here's what I'm getting to. There's not, and there never will be, an emotional attachment like that to any of these teams. For example, if you're an Ohio State fan and you lose to Michigan, it's going to make your Sunday, Monday, and probably the next couple of weeks terrible. It ruins your day and it ruins your weeks. On the flip side, if the Michigan Panthers lose to the Birmingham Stallions, you don't care. It's not going to affect anything. Why does that matter? Why did I spend so much time talking about emotional attachment? Because it's everything. If people don't have an emotional emotional attachment to these teams, they don't watch. And when they don't watch, you don't get paid. And by you, I'm talking about the USFL. And when they don't get paid, they can't afford to pay the players. And when you can't pay the players, everything fails. I want to make this clear. I'm not a hater. I'm really not. I would love nothing more than for this league to succeed because I want to see some more football. But I'm not going to lie. It's not going to happen. I wish it would, but it's not. And you can quote me on this. It may linger around for 2, 3, possibly 4 or 5 years, but nothing serious is going to come out of it. Look, it's just simply not. I don't want to beat around the bush. Nobody cares about the USFL. I'm curious. Let me know your thoughts down below. But, peace out,